So for pistol, what would you've obviously got one of your pistols
Mhm.
here. Can you tell us a little bit about that and show the audience what's on it, explain what it is, why you should have the different attachments and accessories?
So, depending on the handguns, different handguns have different needs, right? Different people have different needs. All our hands are different, so your handgun should be something that not only fits right with your hand when you know how to properly hold one, but should be somewhat customized to an extent to you, because we're all so different that a cookie cutter, gun manufacturer can't just be like, all right, what's your hand look like? Let me mold it perfectly for your hand and then produce that. It's not feasible. So what we have is aftermarket companies that'll do that kind of work for you to an extent. They'll cut up the frame, modify it slightly. So here is an Agency Arms Glock 17, and it's a Glock 17 was what it was when it was born. Now, with a little bit of years and wear and tear and love and affection, it has become a Agency Arms Glock 17, which has been modified pretty heavily. So the internals are relatively stock. They may have been polished and maybe shapen in a couple of different ways, but the frame of it, where my hands go, has been modified so that it fits my hand better. It has better traction, right? You could see if they can see it, there's a lot of texture on there. And then the slide gives me certain points of contact that have been sharpened or cut so that they can now be able to be manipulate the gun with. So I don't have to.
It's raining or you got sweaty hands, or you got
Right.
blood or dirt or whatever.
Or
It's
just
easier to grip it.
yeah, or if I just go for it and want to use the gun or manipulate the gun in certain ways. So on top of that, I have additions to the gun, right? My sighting system isn't a standard iron sight system that most people are used to seeing. It's a red dot. So it's a floating, tiny little red dot that sits there, and it's a projected light from a laser diode. And that diode is now projecting that light to your eye, and it's zeroed, or it's really converged with the bullet's path to give me a sighting system that I could use that actually works with the human brain and the human eye a lot better.
And you zero that to what, 25 yards?
25 yards. And then lastly, on the front end is just a light. It's a light that I use to illuminate, because anybody that carries a firearm should be able to identify what they're going to shoot at. You can't just shoot at shadows. You can't shoot at the darkness. You can't shoot through doors. You can't do any of that BS. You have to actually identify what you shoot, especially in our litigious environment, but also if you are a professional, you do so because you're on the good side of things, if you want to call it that. If there was good and evil, and you consider yourself a good person or on that good side of things, you have to identify what you shoot at. I can't just shoot at anything. So those are pretty basic things about this handgun, and not all handguns are created equal. They all look different. They all have different features, but the fundamentals of shooting this are exactly the same as every other handgun out there.
And so cool. Are you going to carry a full size, or
occasionally
full size versus like a compact, like I've got the 365, the XL.
So I like carrying full size guns most of the time. I think we've had this conversation before when you pulled out that little guy, and I was like, right? Nothing wrong with it, but
it kicks a lot harder.
Well, think about this, right? Our environments are slightly different, right? I wear shorts with a belt every day. I travel around the country. I go into places that are pretty long distances. A lot of times, like any grocery store you walk into, it's again 125 yards sometimes across an aisle. So I want to have a full-size gun that I know I could shoot at distance, right? And I could actually start affecting targets at different distances when I'm going to carry and protect myself. Little guns, right? They have little buttons, and little buttons cause hassles when you're under stress. And those stressors, that sympathetic nervous system that starts to act on us, right? Because our bodies are trying to stay in homeostasis all the time, right? Stay pretty even. Chill sauce. They don't want to be too high in the sympathetic nervous system, and our parasympathetic nervous system is always trying to bring us back. Well, when we are threatened or are scared or something like that, our sympathetic nervous system starts bringing us up into that adrenal fight and flight kind of moments. Well, when you're in that moment, there's a lot of physiological and psychological things that are happening to you that you may not be able to use tiny little gun. Now, that moment may be 1 second, or it may be a prolonged period of 10 minutes that it'll take to get you there. But eventually you may get there. And if you get to the point where you can't act on or use the little tiny buttons and stuff, it could be something that hinders you. But I take great pride in using a full size or a compact size, like the slightly smaller version of this, the Glock 19, and carrying those because they're so similar and they're something that I use all the time. I train with all the time. I feel very comfortable with. Like, I have a subconscious competent level of understanding with these firearms that it makes it easier for me to use them in a lot of different environments and situations where maybe a little gun, I would have to put in that amount of time to actually become proficient with it. So different environments cause different things, though. Somebody that wears a suit every day or hangs out and doesn't wear a lot of stuff or belts or anything like that may not be able to carry something this big and actually utilize it as well because they're not comfortable carrying it. And if you're not comfortable carrying it, you're probably not going to carry it.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you are comfortable carrying the smaller P365, cool. Like, what that does is actually enable you to actually have something with you that you've trained with, that you can shoot, and that you can start affecting targets or start at least protecting yourself, even if you just use it in a defensive manner. So for me, I look at things a little bit more broad, but I prefer larger guns, and my situations, my environments allow me to carry full-size guns.
So bigger is better in your case.
When it comes to shooting at things, yeah, usually.
Cool.
So going to the website, if you're looking for a class or want to go to a class or take a class, you can just scroll down on the homepage and you can see all the classes that I have going on in 2022, 2023 so far. It's a living document, so it just continues to like grow, or when a class passes, I delete it off of there. But let's say you wanted to go to any of these, like let's say Weaponized Geometry and Vero Beach, you'd click it, and it would take you right to the Weaponized Geometry page, and you would just have to select which date, depending on which dates were available. And if it's lighter gray color, that means it's out of stock, so you wouldn't be able to do it because these classes sell out pretty quick. But you can be notified if a slot opens up and somebody canceled on me. And as long as there's enough time to fill the spot, you would get notified and you can pay for your spot in the class. But every class is like this, where you can click right onto it from the schedule, and it'll take you right to all the available classes and dates and locations. And they're all over the U.S. And if you see one that you want to do and it's not anywhere near you, and you have the ability to host or have the facility to host, that's where you would go to that hosting tab again and go through that process of hosting. It's actually very easy. I'm not very high maintenance when it comes to things. I rather get more people to come learn than make it so complicated that people can't learn, right? They're not going to be willing to go through the hoops to get me there to actually go through the process of learning.
So private individuals, law enforcement, I know sometimes you train some military units as well.
Yep.
So anybody that wants to host a class or to have John teach your unit, the guys you work with in law enforcement, or just your friends or family, this is the process. I highly recommend it.
Super simple.